Have you ever thought about what happens when you just disappear from someone's life? I mean, when you really leave. Going away, don't text, call, or get in touch. In a world where people often take others for granted, imagine how they would truly feel without you. Let's change the script. Leave, and I promise their world will fall apart. Welcome to the most important video you'll see today. If you've ever been in a relationship or situation where someone treated you like an option, this video is for you. We're going to talk about a powerful idea today, how they really feel when you just disappear from their life. We'll explore 10 intense emotional stages that they will experience when you disappear, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why walking away and never looking back can sometimes be the most powerful thing you can do to find your worth. Fill out the form below with the words, "Make them miss you like never before." After this, you'll no longer be a choice for me. Remember to watch the whole video until the end, because there is an extra 10th emotional step they'll go through that you don't want to miss. If you want to change the way they see you forever, watch this video until the end. The pain of rejection is the starting point. They never expected you to vanish. Not really. In their mind, you were always going to be there. You were the one who put in the effort, the one who made the plans, the one who cared. You were the person they could rely on until you weren't. When you disappeared, it was like hitting them with a brick they never saw coming. You've probably heard the saying, "You never know what you have until it's gone," and that's exactly what happens when you vanish. Let me make this clear. When you remove yourself from their life, it's not just about the physical absence. It's about pulling away everything that you represented, the comfort, the validation, the constant availability. They feel rejected, but it's not a surface-level rejection. It's a deep personal sting because for the first time, they realize they don't have control over you. People don't like to admit it, but when they know someone will always be around, they start treating them like a safety net. You become an option, not a priority. When you vanish, you strip them of their safety net, which triggers a wave of panic. They thought they could rely on you, but now they find themselves questioning how they allowed this to happen and lost control. The sting of rejection hits especially hard when you've been emotionally available. They took your love and your presence as a given. They assumed you'd always be there no matter what they did. Maybe they even thought they were doing you a favor by keeping you around. That's the real irony. They think they're giving you crumbs, but in reality, you've been the one holding the relationship together. Here's what you need to understand if you want to make them feel the sting of rejection. You can't give them any warning. Don't tell them you're leaving, don't give them an ultimatum, and definitely don't ask for their attention. Just go ghost them when you disappear. Without explanation, it hits harder because they never saw it coming. It forces them to reflect on their actions, but it also tells them loud and clear that you're done being disrespected. When you walk away, don't look back. They will feel the rejection, and trust me, it's going to hit them in ways they never expected. The person they thought they had control over, the one who always stuck around. No matter what has just left the building, let them deal with the aftermath. Number 2, the void of missing you. Here's where it gets interesting. After the sting of rejection settles in, they start feeling something else, emptiness. They didn't think they'd miss you, did they? In fact, they probably convinced themselves that they wouldn't care if you left. Oh, if they leave, I'll just move on, they thought. But what happens when you actually disappear? They start to feel the void. And it's not just any void, it's the kind of emptiness that, as they go about their daily routine, they realize something is missing. That's when they realize that you gave their life meaning. You gave them energy, warmth, and mental stability. When someone disregards you, they perceive you as insignificant and believe that the dynamic between you is interchangeable. But the truth is that no one else can fill the void that you left in their life. They might try to find someone else to do it, but it's never the same because you brought a unique energy that made their life easier, more enjoyable, and more fulfilling. The void gets bigger every day. Maybe they thought they could get over you by dating someone new or spending time with friends, focusing on work, or getting into hobbies. But guess what? That void stays there, reminding them of what they've lost. It's a persistent presence that inflicts pain on them, as they never anticipated feeling this way about you. The irony is that they didn't appreciate you when they had you, believing they could do better or that you would always be there. However, as soon as you leave, everything changes, and they begin to miss the small things. They suddenly miss the small things you did for them every day, even though you're no longer there to provide for them. Try to disappear in a way they can't find you. Ban them from social media, delete their number, and prevent casual checks. The more they realize they can't reach you, the deeper that void will become. Every time they think of you and reach out but find nothing, the void grows. Let them sit in that emptiness and remember this: people don't appreciate what they have until it's gone. Let them miss you and feel your absence. As they feel that void, they'll realize what you brought to their lives. At this point, they're really missing you and are starting to feel desperate. They're very interested in where you are, what you're doing, and who you're with. Because they can't reach you anymore, they become obsessed with finding out what's going on in your life. Not knowing what's going on with someone you once knew is the most unsettling. In this stage, it's even worse because they'll be checking your Instagram and Facebook. TikTok is available on all platforms to monitor your activities. But here's the catch: you're not giving them anything. You've gone dark. There are no new stories or posts. People are afraid of the unknown, so as soon as you leave, their minds begin to race with questions. This is where their insecurity comes in. They start to wonder if you've moved on, if they're seeing someone else, if they'd be better off without me. They can't handle not knowing, so they become obsessed with trying to find answers. At this point, they may even reach out to mutual friends in an attempt to learn more about you, but they may be too proud to admit their concern. It's heartbreaking to see someone who previously thought they didn't need you now actively seeking to understand your actions. The truth is, curiosity is a powerful emotion. When someone can't get the answers they want, their mind fills in the gaps. They'll start imagining you with someone else, making you happier and more fulfilled without them, and that thought eats away at them. Day by day, it turns from curiosity into an obsession, and here's the best part: the less they know, the more they want to know. You become the one thing they can't stop thinking about to fuel their curiosity. You need to become a ghost. Go completely off the grid. Don't post anything that could give them clues about your life. Let them wonder. Let them stew in their own thoughts trying to figure out what's happening with you. Every time they pick up their phone to check on you and find nothing, it'll drive them closer to the edge. You hold the power now, and their curiosity is your biggest asset. Don't give them answers. Give them silence. Number 4. Deep self-reflection. Now we're entering dangerous territory for them. That is, this is where the self-reflection kicks in, and it's not pretty after days or even weeks of wondering where you are and what you're doing. They finally turn inward. They start asking themselves the hard questions. Was I too distant? Was I too cold? Did I push them away? Did I mess this up? The regret starts creeping in, and it's a bitter pill to swallow. Here's the reality. People don't like to admit when they've made mistakes. It's human nature. But when you disappear, you force them to confront those mistakes, head on without you, there to reassure them or smooth things over. They're left to face their own behavior, and it's not a fun experience. They start replaying every interaction in their mind, questioning whether they could have done something different. They remember the times they didn't answer your calls, the times They brushed off your feelings, the times they made you feel like you were an afterthought. And it hits them hard, because deep down they know they had a good thing going, but they took it for granted. Now they're stuck with their own thoughts, and those thoughts are brutal. This stage is especially powerful because it's internal. They can't blame you anymore. You're not around to argue with or to make excuses for them. The only person they can blame is themselves, and that's a tough pill to swallow. The self-reflection gets deeper as time goes on, and the more they reflect, the more they realize how much they messed up. The guilt builds, and they start wishing they could go back in time and do things differently. But it's too late for that now. During this stage, don't reach out. Don't try to explain why you left or make them see the error of their ways. Let them figure it out on their own. Self-reflection is most powerful when it happens internally. The more time they spend reflecting, the more they'll realize that they were the reason things went wrong. Let them sit with that guilt. It's a valuable lesson they need to learn. Number 5. The urge to pursue you. Now that they've spent enough time in self-reflection, something shifts inside them. They go from questioning themselves to wanting you back. The tables have turned. You were once the one who put in all the effort, who cared, who pursued. But now it's their turn. The urge to pursue you becomes overwhelming. They can't stop thinking about you, can't stop wanting to reach out, can't stop wondering if it's too late to make things right. They'll start sending those "I've been thinking about you" texts. They'll like your old Instagram posts, maybe even comment on something to see if you respond. They might send a late-night message after a few drinks, hoping to rekindle what was lost. Here's the thing: they're chasing you now. They've gone from taking you for granted to desperately wanting you back. And this is where you hold all the power. The urge to pursue you is strong, but you don't need to respond. In fact, you shouldn't let them feel the desperation. Let them. Wonder if you've moved on. The more they pursue, the more they'll realize that they've lost control of the situation. They no longer hold the upper hand, and that drives them crazy when they start chasing. Don't give in the moment you respond. The power shifts back to them. You worked too hard to get your worth back, and now is not the time to give it away. Let them try to get you, but don't give them what they want. Silence is best here. Let them feel the pain of wanting something they can't have. 6th, the fight between happiness and sadness. When you first disappear, they might feel relieved for a short time. They might even feel positive about it because they think, finally, I don't have to deal with them anymore. The illusion of freedom is exciting at first, but it's temporary. They go hang out with their friends and swipe right a few times, and for a moment they think everything's going to be okay. But as soon as they're alone in their quiet apartment or scrolling through their phone, regret starts to set in. They realize that freedom without you is actually emptiness, and the people they thought could replace you are just distractions. It's like drinking salt water. While it may seem like a good idea when you're thirsty, it only leads to further dehydration, desperation, and regret. Also, in today's world of hookups and casual dating, people often think that moving on will be as simple as finding someone new. But it's not. They quickly come to the realization that a quick fix or a meaningless fling cannot replace someone who provided them with emotional stability and a meaningful connection, a realization that leaves them completely stunned. Freedom. Don't rush back in when they start to feel uneasy about leaving. Let them sit in the empty space they thought would feel so good. Keep reminding them that their initial relief is temporary and that your absence will haunt them in unexpected ways. Number 7. The desire to play the game once regret settles in. They panic. Now they want to control the situation, but they don't know how. So what do? They try to play games. They start acting distant on purpose, trying to make you jealous, posting photos with other people, making it look like they're happy without you. Maybe they post a cryptic status about moving on or a selfie that's trying a little too hard. It's all just one big attempt to reel you back in to make you wonder what they're up to. But here's the thing, you're not playing anymore. You've outgrown the games, you've moved beyond that childish behavior, and you don't even notice their petty attempts to provoke a reaction. You see, people think that manipulation through jealousy or playing hard to get will make you chase after them. But what happens when you've stopped chasing? When you've grown tired of the game, they'll throw everything at you. Small jabs, comments that are passive-aggressive, not responding to their childish antics or giving them attention makes their exaggerated social media posts ineffective. Their frustration stems from their inability to elicit a response from you, which leads them to lose control and grasp at uncontrollable situations. Avoid interacting with them, ignore the mysterious hosts, and refrain from responding to their photos. Their game only functions if you participate. The moment you stop responding is the moment they realize they've lost control over you. Silence. Being quiet is one of the most important things you can do to overcome the lack of words. The heavy and unbearable silence makes them question everything. They recall the times they disregarded your calls and texts due to their busy schedules, and now they are eager to communicate with you. For someone accustomed to being in charge, silence is painful. They expect you to reach out, inquire about the problem, or beg for an explanation. But what happens when you don't? When you disappear, they are left to sit in silence, wondering if they have lost you forever. Every minute without a word from you feels like a year, and the longer it goes, the more anxious they become. Notifications for texts and calls want something right away. When you don't give them an answer right away, they go crazy. They're accustomed to the cacophony of a relationship, the constant back and forth, and even the arguments. But silence stings. If you want to be strong, let your quiet be loud. Don't break it, and don't try to explain yourself. Let them feel the weight of their actions through the silence of your words. Not being able to talk to you is worse than any argument, they'll realize. Number 9. The fear that makes them CW fall back. This is the part they never thought would happen. They're scared of losing you. For a long time, they were content because they thought you'd always be there. They thought you'd be the one to stick around no matter what. Now that you've left, their fear surpasses all else. They begin to contemplate, what if I lost you? They're gone for good. What if they're seeing someone else? The idea of you being with someone else fills them with dread. They won't worry about their pride, ego, or trying to act cool. All they can think about is getting you back. Because they're afraid, they'll reach out, say sorry, and beg. They might send long messages about how they didn't appreciate you before, but now they know how much you meant to them. They might even show up at your door without warning, hoping for a second chance. No matter what they do, it's because they're afraid they'll never see you again. However, by the time they experience that fear, you've already moved on, gained your strength and independence, and no longer require their presence. Their fear is real, but when they come back, it's too late. Don't give them a second chance just because they're scared. They need to learn that they can't take you for granted. If you've made it this far, excellent job. You are already ahead of 99% of people, and you have shown that you are a real Stoic who wants to learn and understand. Number 10. Realizing your personal independence is the culmination of everything. Seeing that you are emotionally independent means that when you leave, you're not just leaving them, you're walking toward your own freedom. You need to be emotionally clear and at peace. In many relationships, our focus on making the other person happy and feeling good about ourselves often overshadows our own needs. When you leave someone and take back your space, you start to see things more clearly. You no longer require their approval. You don't care about their thoughts, feelings, or desires. You've come to the realization that your happiness is independent of them. This is the most powerful feeling you can experience. It's your emotional independence. The best part is that they sense it too. They understand that you've transformed into a stronger, wiser, and more confident version of yourself. They recognize that you've outgrown them and no longer rely on them for wholeness. This is a significant shift. They may still be stuck in their old patterns, but you've transformed. You've broken free from the cycle of validation, and now their opinion doesn't matter. You own your emotional independence. Don't go back to the old ways, and don't let them feel positive about thinking they still have power over your happiness. You've moved on, and that's your biggest victory.